SicCooper here, and welcome to a awesome pickup video. And I haven't really shown a lot of retro stuff in the past few videos, and that's just because I haven't been finding it. And the stuff that I get off eBay is normally GameCube games because that's what I'm focusing on. So I haven't really been able to pick up a lot of retro stuff in the past recently, but this video has quite a bit of retro stuff, and it's all thanks to Game Trader, which is a local video game store. There is some current gen stuff as well, and also some promotional items and other random things. So I'm going to start off with the memory cards like I always do. Picked up 2 more PS2 memory cards and 2 more GameCube memory cards. I have a few things from GameStop, and these are all free. These are just like promotional things that they were going to throw away. But because I am so friendly with my local GameStop and I go in there all the time, it's literally 3 blocks from my apartment, so I almost go there, every day or two. And they always save this kind of stuff for me, so I got 2 big display boxes here. The first one is for the Skylanders Wii U. The other one is for the Wind Waker Wii U bundle. So those are very cool. And then I also got a poster here. And this one, I don't know if this is going to fit on camera, but it's a gigantic Mario Kart 8 poster with the, the available thing at the bottom there. And these are the ones that are always behind the plexiglass. And they have the giant Mario Kart 8 like wall scroll posters in the front windows. There's one of them on each side of the door, and they're saving one of those for me as well. So that's going to be very cool to get that once the game comes out and they're taking those down. Next up is something from Winn-Dixie, which is a local grocery store, and I've picked up some things from there before for my collection, like the like Mario gummies and like candies and stuff. But they have this Campbell's soup, and obviously it's like a promotion for Nintendo. Got Mario and Bowser on there, and you've got Luigi and Yoshi on the back as well. A very unique and weird item to have in a collection, and I think it's cool to get stuff like that. I have a promotional item here for a Nintendo 64 game, and I picked this up off of eBay. And this is a Conker's Bad Fur Day coaster, and this is the one side, and this is the other side. I'll let you guys read that while I talk about it. These were given out to bars in New York City to promote the game back in the day. And some of them have survived, more of them have surfaced in the past year or so. But I have this one. This is the one I just bought, which is it's brand new, never been used. And then I have this one here, which has like a beer stand on it. It's obvious that it's been used, but this is the other one, and that's the picture on there. So now I've got both of them, and this was like $10 or $12 after shipping. I don't remember exactly, but it was fairly cheap. It was cheaper than what I paid for this one by a couple dollars, I know that. But I think it's very cool to have both of them now, to have one of each, style. Yeah, I guess I'll show you guys the Wii U games I have, because there's only 2 of them here. The first one I picked up from Goodwill. It was either $4.99 or $9.99, I don't remember exactly, but it was either $5 or $10, and that is a factory sealed copy of FIFA Soccer 13. And then the other Wii U game that I have here, I picked up from my local pawn shop, and that is Resident Evil Revelations. They had it marked at $24.99, but I ended up paying about $13 or $14 for this. So, not bad. And I didn't have either of those yet, so it is cool to add a couple more Wii U games to the collection. Moving on, I guess there's a little story to go with this one. Game Trader, which I just mentioned in the beginning of this video, but I also mentioned in my last video, talked about them a lot. We've been going there, Sam and I have been going there a lot, and just buying like huge bundles of stuff, and every time we get really good deals. The guy is super nice that works there, and this is just, there's tons of stuff here today in this video that I'm showing you guys that came from there, and this is just one of those things. And this is a complete-in-box Game Boy rechargeable battery pack. This is for the original Game Boy. You guys have probably seen them. The packs themselves are fairly common, but I've never seen one in the box like this. And they had it marked at $20, but I essentially got it for free. It was kind of thrown into a big deal that I was doing. I had offered $530 for a big stack of stuff, and he said $550, so we were only 20 bucks off, which is, you know, and the prices are extremely good anyway, so I was already getting an excellent deal, but I made a second smaller pile of some stuff, and this was one of those things that was in the extra pile, and I said $600 for everything, and he agreed. From Game Trader, I picked up a huge stack of manuals, and this is it here. And these were basically thrown in for free as well, and I knew that they were going to be, you know, like $5 for the whole stack or free, so I decided to just pick them all out. And there's a couple in here that I did need, and I was happy to find them and see them in here, but a lot of these are possible condition upgrades for me, or doubles, or extras. So I haven't gone through them all yet and compared them to mine, but I will at some point. So let's just go through them kind of quickly. First up are a couple of these Nintendo 64 memory card stickers. Unused. Pretty cool. And then there's a couple Game Boy manuals here. First we have Pokemon Emerald, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. And then these two, I actually have both the games and both the boxes, but no manuals, so I was very glad to find both of them. That's both of the Golden Sun manuals for the Game Boy Advance games. So I didn't have either of them in my game, so now both those games are complete for me, which is awesome. And then we have a Cruisin' USA poster. Most of these are going to be Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo, so Pilot Wings, Killer Instinct Gold, Wave Race, there are 2 of those, and then also 2 of the Operations cards. There's a bunch of these kind of little inserts, precaution manuals, and Nintendo Power ads, so I'm going to skip over those. Glover, NBA Hang Time, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, the booklet for an expansion pack, NASCAR 2000, another Glover, Mario 64, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Donkey Kong 64, 2 Mario Kart 64s, and a Mario Kart Operations card, another Mario 64, Diddy Kong Racing with the Operations card, Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country 3, Donkey Kong Country 2, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario All-Stars, another Diddy Kong Racing Operation card, GoldenEye 007, Mario Party 7 with all the inserts for the GameCube, another Mario 64, Tetris and Dr. Mario, a Rumble Pack insert, and then, let's see, Killer Instinct Gold Operations card, and then the rest of these are manuals that I picked out from specific games that I actually needed to complete my copies. In my last pickup video, I showed a bunch that I did like this for my GameCube games where I was missing a bunch of manuals and was able to get them from Game Trader, and that's the same thing with the rest of these. So we have Medal of Honor Frontline, Super Monkey Ball Adventure, Batman Dark Tomorrow, Disney's Magical Mirror starring Mickey Mouse, Tak 2 and the Staff of Dreams, and all of these are coming with the precautions manuals and Nintendo Power inserts, extra stuff like that. True Crime Streets of LA, and then in my last video, the King of 8-Bit sent me a package of stuff that I purchased from him, and as an extra he threw in a game called Kill Switch for the PS2, which was missing the manual, but I was able to pick up the manual from Game Trader, so that's complete now. And then Klonoa 2 Lunaty's Veil. I have this game and box, but no manual, so now I have it complete, which is very cool. So those are all the manuals that I got from Game Trader, and obviously tons and tons of good stuff. And to get all those kind of thrown in for free is definitely a great deal and very awesome. So moving on to the Game Boy Advance games. These are all boxed, and one of them is factory sealed, but aside from the sealed one, I already had all these boxes and manuals. I was just missing cartridges. When we went to Game Trader, I was able to look through their hundreds and hundreds of Game Boy Advance games and pick out the cartridges I need, and I ended up getting them for about a third of what they would have cost on eBay. So A couple of them are not that great, but there's some good ones in here. So first up is Flushed Away. Then we have Battle B Damon, I believe is how it's pronounced. And I have one of these factory sealed right behind me here. So now I've got a complete one as well. And actually Sam gave me the cartridge for this. He had an extra copy, and it's like a $2 cartridge, so he just gave it to me for free. So that was cool. And then Cartoon Network Speedway. And then this is the factory sealed game. It's Centipede, Breakout, and Warlords. And this one I actually got from Cybertron, which is another local game store. And I traded some stuff in, and I used the trade credit to get this. It was marked at $4.85, so I figured under $5 for a factory sealed game is not bad. And then these last three are the better titles that I got. Like I said, had the boxes and manuals already, and then got the cartridges from Game Trader. So first up is Sigma Star Saga. And then Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Dawn of Souls. And then the last one, which I'm very glad to have finally, is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Very cool, and I'm glad to be getting more of like the retro stuff. I know Game Boy Advance stuff isn't that old, but when I mostly pick up PS2, GameCube, DS, 3DS, Wii, and Wii U games, it's cool to go back and get some Game Boy Advance and some other stuff, because I do have some NES and some Super Nintendo games to show you in this video as well, so I'm very glad about that. But moving on to the 3DS games, I've only got 3 of them here. First up is a factory sealed game that I would consider to be a filler title, but I picked this up from a pawn shop for about $2.99 or $3.99, and that is Gabriel's Ghostly Groove 3D. Like I said, nothing special, but it's made by Natsume, and on eBay it's like 10 to 15, so to get it for like $5 or under was a pretty fair deal. Next up is Skylanders Giants, the Portal Owners Pack. And this is still sealed. I'm not going to open it, but I picked this up from Target because they had a bunch of them on clearance, and I've been watching them. They originally were put on clearance for $29.99, I believe, which is a fair price. It's a little bit off of, I think they had them marked at $35 or $40 to begin with, but I didn't want to pay that much, and I kept watching them, and they dropped them to $24.99. Still didn't want to pay it. They finally dropped them to $19.99, I believe, or $19.95 or something like that. So I decided to pick one up, and I went through and picked out the one that was in the best condition, because they did have like those security things wrapped around them. So there's like little indents on the edges here where they had the things going around them, but this was the one that was in the best shape. So I picked that up for $20, fair deal on that. And then the last 3DS game here, which is very cool, just came out, and I had pre-ordered my copy a long time ago and paid it off a long time ago, so I had forgot that I was even getting this and forgot that it was coming out until Sam called me and said, "Hey, did you go pick up your copy yet?" And I was like, "Oh, I should go right now." So I went that night and picked it up from my local GameStop, and that is Conception 2 Children of the Seven Stars. And this comes in like an outer box with a soundtrack disc, which is very cool. I've got it in an extra protector here, but it is still sealed, and I will not be opening it. Very cool. Glad to add another RPG to the collection. So moving on to the DS games, original DS, and once again, these are all factory sealed, and there's 3 of them here, just like the 3DS games. One of them comes from a pawn shop, one of them comes from Game Trader, and one of them comes from Target. So the first one from a pawn shop, and I believe this was $9.99. I got it in the same deal with this, but they were having a buy 2 get 1 free, so they all ended up being cheaper in the end, but it is Sonic Classic Collection. And with all my sealed games, I've got them in extra protectors here, so that's why they look a little weird, but they are still sealed, so that's pretty cool. And this one is like $15 on eBay as well, so it was already marked a little bit low, but then to get a free game, after buying 3 games, getting one of them free worked out to be an even better deal. And I think I picked out like a Wii Fit or something for my free game. It wasn't anything special, but I would have paid the prices on them anyway, so to get Wii Fit for free wasn't bad. And then the game from Game Trader is pretty cool, and it's not worth too much, but I think it could be in the future, and that is Chibi Robo Park Patrol. And the reason that I say it might be worth more in the future is because up here it says only at Walmart. So a Walmart exclusive game, still factory sealed, could be, you know, a pretty hard to find title in the future. And Chibi Robo on the GameCube is not cheap, so, you know, you never know. But I decided to pick that up from Game Trader. They had it marked at 10, I believe, but I ended up getting it for like a couple dollars. And then the last one comes from Target, and they just put these on clearance. By the time you see this video, obviously they will not be on clearance anymore. They'll probably be all sold out because my videos get filmed way before they're put up, just because I get, you know, backtracked, or not backtracked, but I get videos backlogged. But this was on sale from $35 down to $17.45. So almost 18 bucks for a sealed copy of this is a very good price. I checked on eBay before buying it, and the cheapest ones for the cheapest price for a sealed copy was still around 30. So almost half off, and that is Pokemon White version 2, which is very cool. I'm super glad to have this. To get a sealed copy is awesome, and for that price is very cool. I also asked if they had Black version 2, because it would have been the same price, but he looked it up on the little scanner because I couldn't find it out there, and he said that they were discontinued and that they didn't have anymore. So if I happen to be at another Target, I'll definitely look and ask, but I would love to get a sealed copy of Black 2 as well. I think it'd be cool to have both of them, and for that price, you cannot complain. So, next up, I'm going to move on to the Wii games here. And the first one here is not really a game, but it's something that I've been looking for a while, and they still go for like 15 to 20 bucks on eBay. And I got this for free, basically, from Game Trader, and that is the Netflix streaming disc, complete in its original packaging here. And I've been looking for one of these just because I think it's a cool piece to have in the collection, because it's not a game, but it is something for the Wii. And the reason that these are harder to find is because you don't need them anymore. You can just download the Netflix app from the Wii shop. So the discs are kind of useless now, but to me, it's a cool collection piece. And I found that in the back room at Game Trader. The owner always lets us go in the back and rifle through stuff that hasn't been put out yet, and stuff that they don't think they can sell, like all those manuals were in the back as well. So, most of the Wii games here are filler titles, but there are some cool ones, so I'll just jump into it. First up from Game Trader is The Island of Dr. Frankenstein. These are all complete, by the way. This one was like $1. Same with this one, Medieval Games. I picked this one up because it comes with a slipcover here, so I thought that was, you know, I always like to get games that have like little slipcovers or outer boxes or anything like, you know, like that. So that one was marked at $5, but again, it was like $1. Next up is Sonic Unleashed, and I got this from a pawn shop for a couple bucks, planning to sell it, but then I realized I didn't have it in my collection, which was very surprising to me, so I'm holding on to that one. Next up, also from a pawn shop, is We Play Motion. I got this for it was either $1, $2, or $3, I don't remember exactly, but the guy at the pawn shop looked up all the games we were buying, but didn't bother to look up this one because he thought, oh, We Play, that's a cheap game. Little did he know, We Play Motion is still, you know, around like 15 bucks, I think, maybe a little bit more. So that was cool to get that for that cheap. That's a game I've been looking for, not one that I'm like super ecstatic to be playing or anything, but it's just one of those games I wanted to get knocked off the list. And the last three here are the better titles. First up is The Last Story, and I think I had... No, I thought that I had a sealed copy, but I don't. I have a sealed copy of Pandora's Tower. But this one I didn't have, so I was glad to find that, and to get it in the wild was pretty cool, and it ended up being between 10 and 15, maybe 10, 12, or 15, I don't remember exactly, but it's like 25 on eBay, so I thought that was pretty fair. Then the last two here, one of them comes from eBay, and one of them comes from GameStop, I believe. So first up from GameStop is Madden 13, and I didn't know until I posted my pickup video where I got my first copy of it, but someone told me in the comments that there are two different versions, one of them with a regular cover like this, and then one of them with a shiny cover where his jersey is like foil, and that's the one that I picked up last time, so when I saw this one, I had to pick that up as well. And like I said, it's complete, and they're much cheaper at GameStop than they are online, so I was glad to get the variant of that. And then tying into that one, I picked up a sealed copy of Madden 13, and this is the one that has the foil jersey. I don't know how well it's going to show through all the packaging, but this was posted for $30 with free shipping, buy it now, or best offer. And even an open copy like this sells for more than that, so it was already a great deal. And I made a best offer of 24, and he counter-offered with 28 and said that was the lowest he was willing to take because it was literally posted a minute or two before I made the offer. So I accepted the $28 offer and got that in. So that was a pretty good deal. The sealed copies usually go for over 50, so I was very glad to be able to get one for 28. And not that I'm a big Madden fan or anything, but to get a game that's that expensive for that cheap is always cool and a nice piece to add to the collection. Now I just have to get a sealed copy of the version with the regular jersey, and I'll have opened and sealed copies of both variants, which would be cool. But very glad to have gotten that, and some cool Wii games to add to the collection. Moving on to the PS2 games, there's a bigger stack here than the Wii games, and some of these are kind of special, but for the most part they're just uncommon and obscure titles. There's only one that's like a real common, just game I didn't have, and that's AMF Extreme Bowling. This was basically thrown in for free with my deal at Game Trader. They had it marked at 99 cents, so it was basically free, and it's a game I didn't have, and every single one of these games are complete, so glad to add them to the collection. Most of these are coming from Game Trader. One of them comes from Cybertron. So next up is Worms 3D. Then we have The Adventures of Cookie and Cream. And both of these were a couple bucks. Next up we have One Piece Grand Adventure and One Piece Pirates Carnival. These were closer to like $5 each. And it's hard to say what I paid for them because the prices listed is not what I pay. I did already take the stickers off too, and he does like a buy two get one free and then takes off more than that, so it's really hard to say what exactly I paid, but just as like a rule of thumb, it was pretty much 40%, like 20 to 40% of eBay prices, so about 60 to 80% off of the going rate. Next up is a factory sealed copy of Crash Tag Team Racing. I remember this one he had marked at 10, got it for like $4 or $5, and they're like 20 to 25 on eBay, I think. Next up is Butt Ugly Martians, Zoom or Doom. Then we have Dropship United Peace Force. And these are all just games from my collection that I just haven't come across yet, so glad to add them to the collection. And then Brave, The Search for the Spirit Dancer. And then these ones are getting into the better titles. First up is Onimusha Blade Warriors. I'd never heard of this game. I know there's a lot of Onimusha games, but this is one that I'd just never heard of or seen, so I decided to pick it up. I'm not sure what it goes for, but glad to have it. And then next up is the last Dragon Ball Z game that I needed for the PS2, I believe, and that is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. This one they had marked at 20, I believe, which was about eBay, but pretty much paid like $8 or $10 for it in the end. And then this one is the last one from Game Trader, then I'll show you guys the one from Cybertron, and that is Samurai Showdown Anthology. And what's funny about this one is that I had this in my pile to pick up a few times ago when we were at Game Trader, and I put it back because I didn't have enough money to be spending. And the next time we went, I had a little bit more money, and I wanted to pick it up, and I couldn't find it on the shelf, and I thought they had sold it, so I didn't get it. But then the next time we went back, I found it on the shelf, and it was just in a different location. It was in the T's, so it was a little bit moved down. I didn't see it because it wasn't where it was supposed to be, and I might have put it back in the wrong place, but I'm glad to have re-found it there and picked that one up, and that one is complete as well. And they had this one marked at 25, but you know, I paid like 10 or 15 for it. So awesome PS2 stuff. And then the last PS2 game is coming from Cybertron, which I mentioned is another local game store. And I got this on trade credit as well. I always trade in stuff like random common games that I don't feel like putting on eBay, like Game Boy Advance cartridges and NES titles that are just, you know, $2, $3 games. So I had some trade credit to spend, and I picked up a complete copy of Rez for the PS2. And I thought that I had this in my collection already, so I checked my website and I saw that I didn't have it, so I was glad to see it there and be able to pick it up. They had it marked at $25, which is a little bit more than what it goes for, but it was trade credit, so I pretty much got it for free, essentially. Next up, I'm going to show you guys the Super Nintendo games. And I have a good stack here, mostly sports games and filler titles, but, you know, what are you going to do? You pretty much pick up what you can. And when you're going for a complete set like I am, you have to pick up the filler titles, and collecting complete in box only limits me to what I can pick up. So there's one game in here that's pretty cool. The rest are filler titles, but I'm still glad to have them. And all of these, every single one of these comes from Game Trader, so most of them ended up being like $2 or $3, with the exception of one being more like $5, but still they're all extremely cheap. So first up we have TNN Bass Tournament of Champions. Then we have US Gold Presents Winter Olympic Games. This one, while being a sports title, is still kind of cool. NBA Jam. This one, the box is a little pushed in on the front, but it's Family Feud. And then Turn and Burn No Fly Zone. And then the last one, the one that is the best out of the bunch, definitely, and this was more like 5, maybe 10. I'm pretty sure it's closer to 5, though, after all the discounts. That is Kirby's Dream Course. Not an expensive or rare game by any means, but still a cool one to get and add to the collection. Next up, I will move on to the GameCube games, and from here on in the video, everything's going to be top quality stuff. There are a couple filler titles. I still have the GameCube games, NES games, and then one more thing to show you guys, which is very special and very rare. But like I said, there's a few filler titles in here, but for the most part, everything from now on is going to be high quality stuff. So, getting the filler titles out of the way, we have Madden 07. This was basically free from Game Trader. Attack and the Power of Juju. This was $1 from a pawn shop. This is Time Splitters 2. I got this from Cybertron on trade credit the same day that I got Rez, and what's special about this one is that it is a case variant. This one has a white background with more purples and blues and stuff, and the other one has a black background, which I already have, so now I've got both variants. Next up is an eBay purchase, and this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is just one of those mid-range games I was still missing for the GameCube, and it's in a generic case here, so I do need to switch that. But this ended up being, it was like 18 with free shipping, I believe. So I pretty much paid what it's worth, but it was just one that I wanted to knock out of the way. And then the last three GameCube games are pretty special. The first one here is an eBay purchase, and it came in much better condition than I was expecting, which is cool, and that is a big boxed Karaoke Revolution Party. Comes in the big box here with a black microphone, which is different from the one that comes with Mario Parties. Those have gray microphones. So it was the only one listed with the big box, and I got it for $25 after shipping, which might seem like a lot for a karaoke game, but to have the big box one, I was willing to pay that. I didn't realize until it got here, but it still has the original seal on it. It is opened, and it does have everything included, and it actually came with an extra black microphone, but it still has the original seal on it, as you can see. So the box is in pretty good condition, which is very cool. And I'm glad to get another big box game knocked off the list. And kind of tying in with that one, I finally completed my, not finally, I just showed it in my last video, but I completed my Mario Party 6 big box, and like I mentioned in the last video, I already had one of these complete, but mine had the bestseller logo, so this is the variant without the bestseller logo, and this one is complete, and I was able to get a copy of the game complete and the microphone from Game Trader So it's much better than purchasing them off of eBay. The microphone ended up being like $1 or $2, and the game I think ended up being about 10 or 12. So great deal there, and you know, got to complete that, which is awesome. And then the last GameCube game here, probably worth less, a little bit less than the karaoke game and the Mario Party 6, but I think it's a cooler one, and this is the last Mega Man game that I needed, as far as I know, for my GameCube collection, and that is Mega Man X Command Mission. And kind of a crazy story to go along with this one. I purchased this from Sosa Fan. You guys, if you guys buy stuff off eBay, you probably have heard of him, and he has a Nintendo Age account as well. So he had a listing for these. He had like 10 of them available or something crazy, but I asked him if he would do 20 because he had it listed for 25. And I offered 20, which is very fair. 20 is about what they go for, and he said he would do 23 shipped if we went through Nintendo Age, so he wouldn't have to deal with eBay fees. So I agreed to that, and for some reason my old address was still on my PayPal, and he shipped it there, and I think he was in Indiana or Philadelphia or something, so he shipped it down here to Florida. It went to Tampa to get sorted, and then it came here to Orlando. They tried to deliver it to my old apartment, which is literally a block away from my new apartment, and it was undeliverable. So they sent it back to Tampa, and then back to Orlando to try and re-deliver it again, and they couldn't deliver it for whatever reason. Then they sent it back to Tampa again for the third time, and then it went back to him in Indiana or wherever he's from. And then I contacted him. I was like, hey man, I'm sorry about that. Here's my correct address. And he shipped it back out, and it got here within, you know, 3 or 4 days after that. So it took like 3 weeks to get it, but it's no one's fault, you know. And I'm just glad to have it. And it's been traveling around quite a bit, but I'm glad to have that one and glad to knock it off the list and get another mid-range game out of the way. So those are all the GameCube games. Moving on to the NES games, and this is where 3 of them are, you know, I guess they'd be considered filler titles, but they are complete in box, so they're kind of special, I guess. But one of them is a very expensive and rare game to find complete in the box, and I'm very glad to add it to my collection. It's been a very long time since I've added a rare NES game to the collection. So the first 3 here, like I said, are more cheaper filler titles, but we have Defender of the Crown. This was about $5 at Game Trader. Next up is Castle Quest. Once again from Game Trader, also about $5. Same with this one, Game Trader, about $5, and that is Dr. Chaos. This box is in amazing condition. It's very good. And then the last one comes from Game Trader, and I almost didn't get it because he had it priced pretty high, but even with the discounts, it was still a lot more than I wanted to spend on it. But eventually we worked out a deal, and when I got to throw in, this was where I was offering $5.30 and he said $5.50. And when I added in the other stuff for only $50 more, that's what really made me get it. He had it marked at $200, which is a little overpriced, but it is in like mint condition. It still has the original seal on it. It has been opened, but it still has the plastic wrap on it. And in the end, I paid about $90 for this, which ends up being a pretty good deal, and that is a complete in-box mint copy of Mario's Time Machine. And I'm very glad to have this. It's in a protector here, but I don't know if you can see, it still has the seal on it. You can see it on the side there. Still has the original plastic wrap on it, so it's in excellent condition, no edge wear or anything like that. Very cool. And I'm super glad to have this in my collection. It wasn't a game that I had been looking for or anything like that, but they have had it at Game Trader for a while now, and I've always eyeballed it, but never thought I'll spend $200 on an NES game, you know, for myself anytime soon at least. But with the deal that it was and with everything else that was included, it ended up being a very good purchase, and I'm very glad to have it. And it's always nice to add a rare retro game to your collection, especially NES, which is a system that's just really hard to collect for now. I barely find any NES games, and if I do, they're usually really beat up, or sports games, or, you know, cartridge only, basically. So to add 4 more NES games is very cool, especially the Mario's Time Machine. So, there's one last thing to show you guys in this video, and this is incredibly rare, and I know Lithium has talked about it before in his videos. This is an eBay purchase, and a lot of people might question why I bought it, and when I posted it on the N64 Forever forum, some people were questioning it and saying that it was a bad buy, but honestly, I think it was an incredible buy, especially for what it is. The price was extremely fair too, and you know, I would say that it was really underpriced in my opinion for what it is. And the reason that people were saying it's a bad buy, and the reason that some of you guys might think it's a bad purchase, is because it's pretty beat up, honestly. It's a factory sealed N64 controller that is incredibly rare, but this particular one is really beat up. But I would rather have one that's beat up than never find one at all, because as far as I know, there's only like 2 or 3 of these known to exist that are still sealed, and they're all in collectors' hands. You know, Lithium has one, I think Finn Gamer has one, and DDR Tonight has one, and that's all that I know of. So if anyone has one of these and you'd be willing to maybe swap, and I could throw in some extra cash or some other games or anything, you know, it's highly unlikely, but if you do happen to have a factory sealed controller, one of these, please let me know, because I'm interested in upgrading it. But I'm at least happy with having one at all, and that is a factory sealed Watermelon controller for the Nintendo 64. And it might not look that bad here, but once you get close up, there's some discoloration up here, and it's very cracked up on the side here. You can see it's very cracked, and you know, missing some plastic, the corner up here. But it is sealed, and it is incredibly rare, and it was just under 180, I think, after shipping. And for what it is, that's a really cheap price, because a normal sealed controller can sell for over 200 just for like an ice blue one. So to get it for cheaper than any sealed Funtastic controllers would normally go for, and for it to be the Watermelon one is incredibly rare, and I'm super glad to have it. You guys know that I'm a huge N64 collector. For any like new viewers, you guys don't see me pick up much N64 stuff because I already have every game and everything. So it's harder and harder to pick up new stuff for the N64 collection. But that is something that I didn't think I would ever get because of how, you know, how rare it is and how many known to exist are out there. You know, not that many, and I'm like one of like 4 or 5 people that are known to have one in their collection now, which is very awesome, and I'm very glad that I purchased it. And I was lucky because I saw it after it was posted, like maybe 5 minutes, so I jumped right on it, and I didn't even have the money to pay for it when I bought it. I bought it, committed to buying it, and then I messaged the guy and said, I am 100% buying this, I just can't pay you for like 3 or 4 days. And he said, no problem, just pay me when you get the money, and it was all cool. So I'm just very glad to have that in my collection. And like I said, if anyone out there has one, you do have a gem, but if you're interested in trading it or selling it, please let me know, because I would love to upgrade the condition of this one. But like I said, I'm glad to have it in any condition. Just to have one is awesome. So thank you guys for sitting through this long and boring video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to hit the like button and give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time.